We made it. I made it. NFAOFC made it. It's kind of weird being the first person to start and have you look at this primate as opposed to Kate. She can't make it today, but we're here and we're going to go over it and she'll be back. So we've had quite an interesting few days, few months, absolutely, with what's going on in the cycle. So I'm going to dig kind of straight into it. Where's the best place to put me on the screen? Just learning. Sorry, usually a lot easier when we got the others. This is show 46, not financial advice, fucking course. Everything is educational and entertainment. And how entertaining has it been? I mean, let's be honest. Let's dig into what's going on. The money coming in. These are the areas of consolidation on the daily time frame that we were doing before, of where we have this up motion and where we were looking to do exactly what we've talked about, is stay in this area, cool off, take that breath, so then we can start our upwards motion to the 3. Now, again, I don't think it's going to take till April to get there. I think we're obviously going to do this just like we have, more along the lines of, little cooling off up. It would be nice to see a big up and then an over, a little cooling off, another big up and over, a breakout, a back, and a retest. It seems that we have a good pullback day every few, which is healthy. We talk about that. It's the retracements that we want to see. We want to see the up to come down. That was a much bigger down, as we know, all-time high Bitcoin, so to be expected. And what have we done with that is we've held these values. We're holding these values. And we've been talking about how 2.4, then 2.6 or 2.5 and 2, we've been just walking up these check marks and holding it, and how fast this recovery was in all of the market. So the money is still moving fast and it's still coming in quick, and it still seems to be following this trajectory that we've been talking about. And I don't see any slowing down of this. If we can continue to take these healthy steps, retest and come back, and we can keep cool in here, this is not a bad thing. This is, of course, there's greed in the market. There, people are seeing Bitcoin again everywhere. Being in the news and having consumers come in and buy, two different things. But it is on everybody's, water jug at work kind of a thing. If that is even a thing, I don't know. Dominance is right after a few volatile days, cooling off. We've had our micro bull fire. It's cooling off. It's time for a micro bear. We want to see some depression here. We want to see our white cross, and we want to see this start to come down so we can have our price action come down. And when we get that, we start to see our runs in our altcoin section. Sometimes we get the runs with the greens because the market cap is being flushed so much. So much money's coming in, it's buying Bitcoin right away. The dominance is going up, even though some money is still trickling down into these alts. When we talk of dominance, to keep this perspective, we're at 2.63. More than half of that money is in Bitcoin. That's a lot of trillions of dollars. That's more than some nation's net worth is just in Bitcoin. So that's why it's so powerful when this moves, especially alongside with this. The almighty Bitcoin. What a mess. But how long ago did we draw this? Let's put it down over here. Right? Where were we off on? We moved this last time. We said this should all came down a little bit. But what have we done? Right here with Bitcoin, we established our new all-time high. It pulled back, settled, and has taken off. This candle, more than any candle, needs to stay. It needs to hold. If it holds, strength. And personally, where were we? I think it will. We may get these wick downs, you know, like we talked about. We just get rid of this. I'd like to see us come up and then fight in this triangle and take off again. It's healthy. It's exactly what we've been doing. It might rocket. I mean, it's pretty safe to say we can get rid of these levels of resistance. We know if there's going to be a fast plummet, it's coming down. We put these in before. We'll leave that one still. All right, but we know we got a new wick here on that event. So I'd be more looking at this area if we got back down to there. And don't think we won't at one point. We will have pullbacks. Absolutely. Healthy. But this is also healthy growth. And having healthy growth in value is strong. It's very strong. It's what we want to see. I'm actually going to readjust this because if we're going to play this out for a while. That's where we thought it would have came up. I'll leave that one. Because we figured it was going to get up into this area. So cool off. Like to see a bit of an up. Let's try and push that 75s in here. Mark. Probably pull down. We'll settle somewhere in here for a bit. Shoot up here for a bit. Pull down here. Try to hold it. And then shoot up and try to hold it. If we can do that with price action, very healthy. You know, 14 and 15% for Bitcoin is reasonable. It didn't used to be. We used to talk about how it was that, 3% mover. But now look at that pullback, another 15%. Stands to reason we'll take this walk. And what gives me strength is what we talked about yesterday on the macro market and the fact of these pullbacks. And this is still just steadily going up and down. And this makes sense. The biggest pullback is rational. I mean, it's a boss move at the end of the day. Say Bitcoin that long, sell the whole top. Good on you. Ethereum from show one has been doing what we've wanted it to do. Just repeating itself. I could probably pull this and move it around a bit. Minus the big exception. There's your down. Makes sense. We're going to go into this 4250 area. Where's 4250? Right in higher in here. I mean, right? Come on. Makes total sense. Now, is it going to do it straight or is it going to do these little things, these little bricks? Target, how fast? And we always like when it pulls out. Healthy sign. It's telling us we're coming into entries. Nice little curl overs. We know money's flowing into the market. here. And when we look at these, oops, when we zoom in on the money flow, I mean, you can't tell me this doesn't look nice and healthy with some pullbacks. Okay, all right, like we're virtually just walking up that quick line I drew, quick and dirty, as I say. We're still in that progression. That's not even a parallel tool. I just randomly grabbed and threw a line to prove the point that on this 4 hour, take your bottom wicks or your bottom now if you really want to get to the point. I'm going to call that one an anomaly. But you can see on the pullbacks that these could be good entry zones on red days. Somebody called them stink bids the other day. Put in some stink bids along this line, and on red days, they might catch. Great name. Can't remember who it was. Brilliant. Made me laugh for quite a while. And it's important not to get too lost on different time frames, but it's also important to really see the big picture of what's happening in the market that we're trading. We can see on the lower time frames, we're starting to settle in this area, which is that next area of resistance for the total money flow. That's a healthy sign to come all the way back from down here and there. That totally was eating something. Probably something in liquidation there. Heat maps or something will tell us. And actually, Supreme is really good for those, and a few others in the Discord. Me, not so much. I kind of look at how I present it to you guys as how I literally do all this. So everything in that regard and where we are at in the actual market, to me, normal, healthy, happy to see everything we're doing. Really like to see this continue. Beginning of the week, we've been saying it. This is where now we can start to see the money starting to come in. People are bored in the office. They're spending their money when they're supposed to be working on the machine. Whatever it is, we're going to start to see it again. Our indications are telling us that we're on par for where things should be. We're looking at it with some sort of rational mind, as much as this is, and strategy, and then apply our tools. So we went through a ton of coins yesterday. I think Kate counted 20. I didn't. I have no idea how many we did. But I grabbed a couple that look really enticing to me and that we're going to be bringing in on the show and focusing on some of these. So we got a little bit of time, and I'm going to dig into a few. Start from the zoom out, where we quickly did some stuff with it yesterday, and look for some entries now. EOS, there's a lot of room to just even do a teacup and handle right here. When we say there's lots of different areas in the market or themes or genres or the bull run's not done, there is only so much money, even though it is trillions of dollars compared to other markets, not as much. So it does kind of move around and flow. And if you follow your tools, your indicator, and what's happening in the markets, and patience, another big part of all of this, we make our targets and we can get there. Now, we'd have to look at market cap and see, is it real to get to all-time highs? But it really makes sense that we'll get back up into these areas, I think. So what are those? From current price right now here today to the bottom of that, it's 100%. 185-ish if you bought right now. And it made it to that point. Not financial advice, back of course. But you see where we're going and where the market is going. Now, we have a little bit of conflicting information when we look at it on the weekly. What am I seeing right away? We're in a sell position, almost in stochastic. Delayed indicator, not the best, but a lot of people trade off it. I like it. It helps and many other things. We haven't seen a lot of volume. We haven't seen a lot of action yet till here. And we can see how much little volume did to price point. almost like a test. I don't know what that is, but it's interesting. So on the daily, we can see, yeah, we did take off. We missed this up. Well, this is a beautiful little cup and handle here. Pull back. Here's your ascension, pullback, consolidation, right where this weekly resistance has been. It hasn't been able to break it yet. Look where it's pulling back to. So it's showing some decent strength today. Oh, this will be today. Yeah, by tomorrow. So it did. It showed strength from coming back from the down day of today. This would have been a great entry. It's right on here. You know, and what is that? Just based, this was on the show yesterday, guys. Yeah, 7.77 if you grabbed it just because we talked about it yesterday. So if we've talked about sometimes you don't have to worry about, you might stand and miss the bus if you don't want to get in on trades. And if you just want to hold for a while, well, our target is quite a ways away for the first one. And then our second one would be up here somewhere. And I'm hoping this is going to be, you know, more down here in reality. And then same for that one up there. But we've also seen, I had a couple of these lined up. Was it Cello? It was Cello, CELO. And it had 44% pipe the next day, and it was just in this formation. We have strength of breaking the downward trend off the weekly. We're starting to see a little curl on the daily, but on the weekly, again, we're off to the races. It wants to go. A little bit of curl on the daily from that much of a pullback. Yeah, makes sense. So this is probably just going to turn and open again because it's showing this strength when it comes up from these wicks. But it's clearly having a little bit of a fuckery with this line. So I want to see a retest here for an entry if I'm doing in and outs on this, because these are some sweet gains between these stops. But if I'm not interested in and outs, I'm just going to hold it for the next probably month while we walk up to our target. And we'll cover this one like we have been with the Kusama, the Phantom, the Beam, the, you know, Casper, all the other ones we did. Just jump in on a slower time frame, on a lower time frame when it's red, and there's your entry. We're never going to time the bottoms, never going to time the tops. And that's part of where I lost my status of a sheep, was because I was trying to be too perfect. You know, I could have just not been greedy, and it's holding this daily support right here, as we can see. So we'll probably get a retest somewhere in here and hopefully finally break through. And when this breaks, it's probably going to rip. So EOS right now is high on my list because of that, and we'll cover it in the show. But it's a slow trade in the terms of, you know, we're going to be trading this probably for the next month. So if you zoomed in on the 30s, you know, here would have been a great entry. Might have a little bit of pullback in the next little bit. And you can watch, it makes sense. We might get a pullback to the 1774. Might get a wick, you know. But like I said, how much do you want to wiggle when we're looking at how big this could have been? And also, this kind of looks like another little wave. When you trade with me for a while, you'll learn I like W's, these W formations, because you just trade up and down them, and they're fun. And if you've gone through the modules, you would have known killer entry. This would have been catching falling knives if you only used the Bollinger Band theory of red out, green in as an entry. And that's why understanding the micro bull bear tool here, a bear, knowing that we have this spread that we talk about, right? We know with that tool, the further it is these lines are apart, the greater the price action, the bigger the candles. And the more they're spread, the more we're going down. So we have to look for these areas of support. This would have made sense because it was critical fear. Or, made it all the way down to this daily. Quick wick. That was probably a stink bid. So EOS is in a prime position from a weekly long-term project. Just hasn't had its day. I don't think it's already had a good pump. Missed this early part, but there's lots of room left. Just might not be the best time, and that's why we watch the money flow and all that coming in. And once we start to look at these patterns, we watch to see how they play out, understanding that it might rip at any time with money coming into the market. Algorand. This, I had a couple entries in that already hit. And it's, as you can see, it's pretty much just stopped right below its weekly support here. And how fast it went up. And this entry I only found a few days ago after here. So getting sometimes to these target areas that we're talking about can happen rather quickly in a bull. I mean, just that spread of entries was around 6%. I was looking for a dollar cost entry. They both hit. Now it makes sense we're going to have a little cool off, but we still have legs to run on the daily. Algorand is ready to take off. Would I be getting in right now here today? Well, it's pulled up a lot back in the first few minutes of the day. Look how much up we've had. It's going to come down. I mean, it's already come down to this area. It'll probably come down somewhere to this area again. So if you ever really want to test how strong that area is, do you think it'll go lower? I say yes, but you can always just go change it to daily back in the time to see what was around this area for terms of support and resistance. Lots there, right in the middle there, a little below, lots below there on the belly of a bear though, right? Same here, coming up as resistance. We're down here. So we might get a nice pullback to down here. We might get one down to there. And you can see there's a lot of price action in some of these candles. And we'll put one down here. So now when you're trying to hunt an entry for something that's taken off and made some good money and it's probably going to pull back, we can probably go in these areas here, make sense. You can look at how much it's pulled in the past back. Don't take the anomaly. And you can see there's not a ton of movement, but it's fairly similar to how much. So kind of take the average of that, apply it to where it is, and maybe it ends up there and you're happy with that as your entry at the top of the wick. Or maybe you put your limit entry 33 30%, 33 30%, 33 30% of your budget to get in on each one of these lines. Or maybe you don't want to fuck around and miss something that might take off. You just buy it on a smaller time frame when you have a red candle. That's kind of how I look at entries. And we can see we have this consolidation here. It's having trouble getting up. So yeah, it makes sense that we might probably in a smaller time frame get down to these levels where we were earlier in the show. or in the day, I should say. Probably in the short term, no. Right? So these are strategies of looking at getting into entries on these different tokens. But when we look at this, it's holding this line. We know money's starting to come in. We know it's a bullish market. We have an entry signal here. I'm not saying it's not going to come down here, but always take the market into factor. Go back when you zoom out. Yeah, a little bit of pullback makes sense. There's a whole lot. But there are the different strategies for it. Canto on the weekly, looking like it's making that nice W's that I'm talking about. All-time high, in a buy position down here, in a buy position with our Bollinger, and this is all in the weekly. We are contesting this downward action right here. This weekly candle in 4 days determines, do we break this action? This is our retest right here. What's going on at our retest? One of my favorite things, the belly of the micro bear. Because typically when we get the bellies is when they mellow off and go. Right. So a little consolidation in and around this area would be probably expected on the weekly. On the daily, we can see broke out and it's just been making its way back down, but holding right here. On the daily, we got our critical fear twice. Boom, boom. Second time I made it. %, 12 days. Not too bad. What do we got in terms of TA formation on the daily? Parallel channel. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Not on that one there. So we know now that this has to go over this on the daily, or it's coming down. And you're going to get another nice entry. And we might get what this indicator is telling us on the daily, this nice little, micro bull bear. But bullish sentiment in the market, indicators aren't always right. It could hold this line right here of support, use this as the breakout and go. Zoom in. What is it telling us on the shorter time frame? Short time frame saying it's coming down. There's our micro bear. And you can sit here and watch it to see, will it continue to hold this? Because over the last testing of this area, it seems to have been holding. There's a couple entries there. That would have been a sweet short trade. Interesting. We also have 1, 2, 3, probably one more to get the parallel channel and a good up. How much are these swings? If you've been with me a while, and I've been showing you the 1%. If you can get 1%, one trade a day, 365 days a year, that's a 3,700 some odd return. when you find little gems like this, I mean, let's just go bottom to top. From, I don't know, 5 o'clock, you could have had a few trades in here. Understanding trading theory and understanding what we teach and understanding how to look at movement of the money and where things are going, there's so many different ways you can trade. But if you are a set forget, don't want to do it, think about it. You know, these are also great ones just to buy, hold, fuck, forget about it, walk away. You know, CoinSkid always says, go to the beach. 1 inch. I've talked about this one a few times. You know, seems reasonable to me that we'll catch this cup and handle too. That's on the weekly, on the daily. I mean, today on that pullback would have been a great entry. We talked about this yesterday, told you about this entry here. We're just going to continue to walk up this line. We'll have our pullbacks, but it's going to be no different than all the other tokens we've been trading. Same thing as we just mentioned, so I don't sound like a broken record, is if you know you're not worried about shavings in an here for an entry and you just want to hold it for probably the next month with us and watch us report on it, have a good day. Wait for a little bit of red on a smaller time frame, have an entry. Interesting enough, we were talking about budget allocation in the Discord the other day, and things that are going to be hot in the market, how the market is moving. And if you've followed me for the time I've been doing this from Twitter to whenever, you will know that I've always hated shit coins and shit tokens. But sometimes you just have to not love it, not hate it, don't date it, just trade it and look at what the money in the market is doing. And these are a couple of old ones. This one I mentioned yesterday in the show. Full disclosure, I got in down here recently because I'm looking for these old memes that will pump, that are going to be popular with retail, that, for lack of better terms, have that cool factor to people that are come in and see it. It's fine. Everything's fine. Is a great meme. It obviously also has history. I'm not in this one personally. I didn't know much about the actual token. I know the meme, and it came right now. It is having a little bit of pullback, cool off. Makes sense with all this green. I'll be watching it for somewhere in here, these levels, to get to these next ones, because that could probably be just pretty interesting. So say we get back to that pullback into there and we just take it out there. That's a quick 48. With these things though, to be honest, I'm never more than anywhere from $500 to $1,000 tops. And I never play with them for long or often, or I buy them, completely forget about them, and just wait to see what they did. What I did with Pepe Coin last time, and it was a riot. So there's a gift for the show, a couple of old school meme tokens and some good entries that we will continue to cover. Unfortunately, Kate couldn't make it. So it's not nearly as much fun, but it is a whole lot of information for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. We are looking forward to see you tomorrow. Arcade EG, right? Targaryen, thank you very much, because when I'm not staring at the charts, I can now absolutely see your comments. And Supreme, I'm Mr. Stinkbid. I had a feeling. I love it. It's a brilliant concept. It's a great name. I hope that helps with your trading. See you tomorrow, 7 o'clock PST. Other than that, I can't really think of anything, to be honest. Just happy trading. Play smart. Use patience. Don't gamble away all your money in shit tokens. It's never a good idea.